the deck looking homes, the kind of like the Key West style, but they're a little bit more tapered down, if you will. Those are, Seminole Heights is booming with restaurants. There's always changing new restaurants there. Downtown St. Pete, which of course is still considered the Tampa Bay area, they have a lot of walk to places, but you've got to pick up a little bit more higher end, would be a home or a condo. Downtown Tampa actually is booming. They are building several condos down there. Vinnick is taking over. He has come in and revamped a lot of downtown. So you're going to see more condos and places there where you're going to be able to do some shopping. They've put in some big grocery store chains in downtown Tampa as well. Also, South Tampa has several locations, and South Tampa doesn't really they have different neighborhoods, but they are more like street. There's not like a lot of sidewalks or closed in, where you can also get to some restaurants and grocery stores.
Absolutely. I love everything about Tampa is very exciting. There's always something going on. So that's great. But what about like a town center or an outlet mall or, discount places? And is Publix the only grocery store down there now? I don't know. I'm a Wegmans fan and Harris Teeter, so I don't know if I could adjust not having my Harris Teeter close by. But what is down there for people to listen to you talk about?
So Publix is one of the main staple grocery stores. There's also Winn-Dixie. The other stores have pretty much gone out, but there are the little ones popping up. So there's Fresh Market, Sprouts, Trader Joe's. There's only one so far in South Tampa. We're hoping we get another one.
Oh yeah, Trader Joe's, I could do it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of the Sam's Clubs, the Costco's. People like those places because you can go in one trip and get everything, even though you have to buy it for the most part in bulk. But they do like those are big here.
Well, I only go like every 3 months to Costco, and now they have a senior citizen day, so I can get there early.
Nice.
But
That's awesome.
it's crazy. But you have really good restaurants down there too. I mean, the Columbia restaurant. Let's talk about Burns and all the excitement going on with the restaurants, and because they've been there for a long, long time.
Oh, yeah. We have some amazing landmark restaurants. So Burns Steakhouse, which has been around since 1956, believe it or not, they have one of the largest wine collections at any restaurant in the world. You can tour the wine cellar, the kitchen, definitely go to the dessert room. It's very well known.
Yeah, we did that when we went. We just couldn't get over the wine tour, and then going to the big barrels to eat dessert was just mind blowing.
Yeah, and the dessert menu is mind blowing. You can never decide.
Yes. No, it's true. Each person gets one, a separate one, and then you taste every. It's like family style,
Exactly.
But it's really, really good for sure.
Delicious.
Absolutely.
So on the beach side, if you like to go to the beach, we have the Beachcomber restaurant that's been around since the 40s, and they specialize, of course, in seafood, and they also have some really cool specialty cocktails. The Columbia that you mentioned, which is located right there in Ybor, they take up an entire city block.
It's beautiful in there. I just love that place. It's phenomenal to go in. It's so different from anything I've ever seen. It's just awesome. And the tiles and everything. Oof.
Yep. I was just actually in there a few weeks ago, and I was introduced to a private room. I didn't realize that they had all these little tucked away private rooms, but they do. That restaurant's been around since 1905, and they actually named a salad, which if anybody ever says the 1905 salad from Richard Gonsmart Place, they know exactly what you're talking about. It is a delicious salad.
Well, how is it different? What's in it that makes it unique?
They make it right at your table. They have the ham in it, the cheese. The dressing is the way, I think it's the way they do the dressing, and they toss it all, because there's nothing exceptional with the lettuce and the tomatoes. It's just the way they put it together and the way they put that cheese in there. It's just, I did a race for Richard Gonsmart when he was doing a fundraiser just so I could get that salad.
Run it off afterwards. Yeah, for sure. So what if people want like seafood? What's to do down there with seafood? Because I know that's, you're right on the water. There must be a lot going on.
Oh yeah, there are so many places with seafood. One of the ones that's been around a while is the Salt Rock Grill. That's in Indian Shores. They have a fishing boat that goes out daily, so you're going to get fresh seafood. They have also an early bird supper club. You can get different things on that menu. Believe it or not, one of the best sellers is Alaskan king crab, which isn't really local, but you can still get the Alaskan king crab. So they definitely take their time in getting people what they really want. And of course, the fresh seafood. But there are so many different restaurants here that are all around the water. You could just pick and choose. You could go another 60 feet, especially on the water side of town, and you could bump into a new restaurant that has amazing seafood.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And I know Columbia has that wonderful Cuban sandwich, but talk about do you have like a judging who has the best Cuban sandwich kind of thing?
Oh my gosh, that is the one debate that constantly the Cuban sandwich sparks a debate every single time you talk to somebody, whether who makes it the right way or whether you're supposed to put the fresh pork on it or the sliced pork. There's always a different take on it. But we do have a Cuban sandwich festival here. It's usually held down in Ybor City, which is towards downtown. And they do have a judging to see which is the best Cuban sandwich award. They will last for the year. One restaurant that I remember was named the Floridian, and it's right off of Kennedy Boulevard as you're going towards downtown. They had that award for like 4 years running. And I did go try it. It's delicious.
Oh, I'm hungry. Okay. So let's move on to something more boring like taxes and type of housing. I know on the Bay, I once saw, there's a lot of high rises right there overlooking the Bay, and I think it's wonderful. But the real estate taxes, is it really realistic to be able to, it's not overpriced or anything?
No, I think, you can get up there in taxes as far as if you live in a neighborhood maybe that has a CDD, which are very common right now, where they've taken some of the pastures and turned that into big, huge neighborhoods. It's happening a lot in Trinity, Florida, where they had a lot of pastures and they took hundreds and hundreds of acres and they've turned those into homes. So when you have to go in with those CDDs, meaning that there was nothing there before, there was no fire stations, no roads, no street lights, that's where you're going to have a little bit more of an impact on your taxes. However, taxes in general for themselves, it's about 5.73 in the city property is what is going to be taxed for every $1,000 of assessed non-exempt property value. So, but for the most part, if you go into a new home, you're going to see the taxes are pretty low.
Well, that's good to know. I mean, that's part of the decision-making process as to where to move, and you want to be sure you know what you're getting into. So you have low taxes, no state income tax, sunny weather the majority of the year, beautiful beaches. So what's the negative to living in Tampa? Humidity, right? And the possibility of hurricanes, but I don't know. Like the upside is better than the downside. So
I agree. Yeah, maybe a hurricane once in a blue moon. You have to prep for those. Maybe some lightning storms, humidity. But I always say go find a community that has a pool, or get a pool in your backyard, and then the humidity doesn't bother you so much.
I'm sure a lot of people, even if you don't have a pool in the yard that you're looking at a house that has yard capability for a pool.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, for sure. So Florida doesn't have state income tax. So your Social Security retirement benefits and your pension and all that is untaxed. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct.
That's awesome. So some of the other places in Tampa, I know we haven't talked about, is like Busch Gardens and things like that. So what is the deal with Busch Gardens?
Well, Busch Gardens is a great place to visit. You can't get the taste of the beer anymore like you could way back when it first opened in 1959. But they've got a lot of entertainment there. They've got a lot of roller coasters. They definitely do different musical shows and festivals through the year. They have the Food and Wine Festival, summer nights. At Halloween, they have the Hollow Scream. They have Christmas Town, all different kinds of African-themed animals throughout the park. They say about over 4 million people visit Busch Gardens a year.
Wow, that's pretty good. I like the fact that it's open year round too, so you don't have to, wait, because up here it's only open in the summertime, so it's difficult. But so Adventure Island Water Park.
Yep, right next door is Adventure Island Water Park. They just redid it a little bit a couple years ago. So that one features 30 acres of water rides. You've got still the dining, some pools. They do other things there, but the kids love it. You have all kinds of the different pools where they've got the wave going on. They've got the slides, all kinds of stuff to do to keep the kids entertained or the grandkids entertained, so that when you get home, they'll go right to sleep.
That's always a good thing, for sure. So you got the Florida Aquarium, and then let's talk. We didn't talk about sports, so let's. I know it's got a lot of sports teams, the Bay Rays and the Tampa Lightning, and all of those. So talk about those so that the guys will feel comfortable, and the ladies who like sports will want to know what they're in store for.
Right. So we have the Tampa Bay Rays. They play over in St. Pete. The Tampa Lightning, which of course is hockey, they play here in Tampa, downtown Tampa. The Tampa Bay Bucks, which is the football, they have, of course, their own football stadium, which is in in Tampa, main Tampa, right off of Del Mabry and Himes. And we have arena football, which is indoors. I love arena football. It's fast moving. It's inside. Even though it's in the summer, you're nice and air conditioned. They play at the same place as the Lightning. The Tampa Bay Rowdies is outside in St. Pete. That's at a smaller field. And of course, we have spring training here for baseball, which just completed for all the different spring training. The different teams come into Tampa Bay. They play right over there by the University of Tampa, which is towards downtown.
Awesome. So the the airport, the Tampa airport, to me is one of the most phenomenal airports I've ever been in. I love landing there. It's just so wonderful. I know they've done lots of renovation. So let's talk about that as we're wrapping up the show, because people need to know that it's easy to get to.
It's super easy to get to. It's right off the Veterans Expressway, which they put in many, many years ago. I can get to the Tampa airport in no time at all. So about 22 million passengers come through the Tampa International Airport a year. So they knew it was going to start growing. And of course, we just added in many more international straight direct flights. So what they decided back about 6 years ago, they wanted to do the renovations. Most of the ones in the main terminal are now complete, but they spent about $150 million renovating. They added in tons of concessions and restaurants. They added so much in there, and they've changed the way you also park. They put in 21 escalators and 24 elevators. And it took a while for them to add the 55,000 square feet. But my understanding is that part of it is done. And now they're working on the next phase, because they know that they are expecting well over 34 million people to come through. So, and again, with all the new international flights, they definitely needed to bump it up, make it bigger.
I just think that's amazing that because it's so well organized. It's so easy to move around in and find things, and it's really enjoyable to land there, because I've landed gone to other airports, and it's just teeth grinding. It's like fingernails on a chalkboard. You can't stand it. But Tampa, easy peasy. It's just great. And is there anything that we haven't talked about that you think is important for listeners to know before we sign off for the day?
I just think that Tampa in general, but Florida, we have so many different things that you can visit while you're here. It's a hop, skip, and a jump to get to different things. If you do, again, like water activities, there's, not just the Gulf of Mexico, there's springs, there's lakes, there's the East Coast you can get to literally right across the state in about 2 hours. There's just so many different ways to get to when you travel around. There's so many different things you can see, but it's still lovely, warm weather that you're going to have year round. And you're I just absolutely positively can't think of anywhere else I'd want to live. And I raised family here as well.
Since you're a native, I wouldn't think you'd want to move. Yeah, for sure. And we didn't talk about the little manatees, which are so precious. And they have little places where you can go and stand on a bridge and overlook and see the manatees and swimming in